Give us millions of dollars.
Not coming back without a
Streaming.
All right, let's talk about what's happening in our area. Michelle Williams and Julianne Moore star in After the Wedding. It's just one of the films in the upcoming 51 Fest. It's a film festival about women, for women, by women. And joining us this morning
is Tina Brown, CEO of Women in the World, who has partnered with IFC for the inaugural film festival that starts tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
Congratulations.
Wow. Yes, it's very exciting. It's a new venture for Women in the World to partner with IFC. They came to us, the IFC Center, and said, we really want to support women filmmakers, and you are, the ultimate sort of women's convening brand. Will you do this with us? And I love the idea because, this is a way to support women in a different field.
So how did you curate this? Because there are a lot of women out there who are doing some great work.
There really are.
How did you decide what to include?
Well, it was a great process. IFC have some terrific producers who are looking and convening at all the new stuff coming out, and in a way sending us the movies to view and screen. Then our producers looked at the movies too. There was a second process. We had a little convening group that sort of looked at the stuff and said, what's the best here? And we really picked out the ones that we thought spoke most to the kind of quality work that we are interested in, which is there are a lot of very good documentaries in the movie, in the festival.
I saw the list. There was a lot of good names on there.
A lot of great names. A wonderful movie called Forsama, which is about a Syrian mother's, conflict between being an incredible mother and also desirous of trying to promote freedom, in the city of Aleppo, which is torn by war. It's incredibly moving. It actually got all the sort of top critical awards at Cannes.
And Kathy Griffin.
And tomorrow night I'm actually interviewing Kathy Griffin, who has made a movie. She is something else.
I know.
Who's made a movie about her incredible, 2 years that she's had since posting a picture of Donald Trump's bloody head, which caused, of course, the most incredible storm, and she was turned into a massive pariah.
By the way, we're talking to Kathy Griffin, too. In fact, we sat down with an interview with her. It's going to air tomorrow. And we talked about your festival. I want you to hear what Kathy had to say about being part of it.
To be touring and have a 50-city tour cut off midway, and I'm just sitting at home and I'm taking meetings, and then the meetings go well with like maybe the mid-level development people, but then they shoot it up to the old white dinosaur upstairs, and I heard a Kathy Griffin is a life's too short situation. I know.
Wow.
So you go, okay, this one I got to dig myself out of this one. So I just got down to work and
you did.
Toured overseas, and I was detained at every airport, and I was on the Interpol list. I was on the no-fly list for 2 months prior to that. It's been a slog, but I have learned a lot.
All right, we have a little. She talked about her journey. She also talked about your film festival and how honored she's to be a part of it, and that you will be talking with her.
She's a hellraiser and a firebrand. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And the pylon afterwards when she did this questionable thing.
But even her mother had a problem with it, Tina.
Everyone had a problem.
And her good friends had it. It wasn't just the president.
It was a viral problem.
It was a viral problem.
It was a viral problem.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. I mean, Hollywood absolutely spurned her as much as everybody else. And I mean, I think my first question is going to be like, what were you thinking? I mean, what did you expect when you did this? But I think that what's interesting is just what she's made out of it since. I mean, this is obviously going to be in her obituary, just as Jane Fonda's, exploits were. But, it's actually taught her a lot, I think, about, being under siege. I mean, that's certainly a character strengthener for sure. She's a very interesting woman, Kathy Griffin, too, because, she says, she went from the D list to the no-fly list. But
she always finds a list.
She's made a ton of dough, this woman. She's made $35 million in her career.
Wow.
This is a lot of money.
Great.
She's a very shrewd businesswoman, and she actually financed and created this whole comeback film herself because no one else would do it.
That's incredible.
And that takes a lot of
I have to tell you, I saw the film, and it's a fascinating film because she really is raw, authentic. She breaks down, and then you see the show.
Yeah. It's very, very powerful.
But she's also made a lot of enemies along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, she has created the enemy list.
Well, she has created a lot of enemies along the way, but it sort of fuels her comedy. I mean, the woman is hysterically funny, let's face it, and she's just one of these crazy comics who fuel her life, fuels her comedy fuels her life, And you know, she's a very unusual artist. There's no doubt about it. And I think she's an incredibly powerful performer, I have to say. I mean, I had mixed feelings, but I didn't really think I was going to want to do this movie. I said, oh, Kathy Griffin's movie, I don't want to do that. Then I saw the film and I thought, you know, this is very, very entertaining and raw and interesting because it actually raises a lot of discussions. What I think is different, actually, and interesting about the film festival is that the quality of the conversations afterwards are going to be very good. You know, we are having quality people talking, you know, about what happens on the screen. So you don't just get a great movie, you also then get to stay and hear some really smart people talking. I mean, I have an interview with Julianne Moore after the wedding.
She's such a great actress.
I love her.
Yeah,
she's actually, it's like the Festival of Redheads, you know, between Kathy Griffin and Julianne Moore.
So are women still having a hard time in kind of making it in that world? Because you would think after like the whole Me Too, you know,
the percentages of female directors, female screenwriters, you know, female producers is still really low, despite all the noise. I think that what you're seeing is much better roles for women beginning to emerge now. And that's also, though, as much about the streaming explosion as it is about the Me Too movement. So there's still a great deal of work to sort of push these women's films. And I feel that to have a festival that's devoted to that work is so important, particularly sort of on the documentary side. We have a great movie about the wonderful Texas firebrand journalist Molly Ivins, who was, you know, a hero in Texas and so funny and outrageous and took on everybody. Afterwards, we've invited Kathleen Turner to talk about it because she was a very close friend of Ivins who died of breast cancer, you know, some time ago. But the movie is a marvelous sort of celebration of women who take on the establishment in a great way.
I'm also wondering, I mean, I know that, you know, you've already set your movies and stuff, but everybody in New York is talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh my God.
Everybody.
That's going to be a huge movie.
Is there anything in your festival that is going to deal with that?
Well, not Jeffrey Epstein, because there's not a movie to talk about, but we are doing a really great Harvey Weinstein documentary called,
what are you doing?
Yeah, we're doing, it's called Untouchable, and it chronicles, you know, the rise of Harvey, the grip that he had on the industry and on women. And we have two of his victims who have not been really showcased before, who are speaking afterwards with Charlotte Alter of Time magazine.
The story keeps going.
It does.
Going
now
you
worked with him for a little bit on a magazine, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, we for 2 years I worked with Harvey, so I saw up close the kind of crazily volatile man that he was. He never sexually harassed me, but I did see the explosive personality and could imagine what was happening. When I read afterwards, it didn't surprise me, really. But, you know, his trial is coming up, so it's extremely topical. And I think people are going to find, I mean, these questions of Jeffrey Epstein and impunity, obviously, and so on, are the theme of our times right now. I mean, you look at Jeffrey Epstein and you think, how in the world did he get that sentence? And how in the world did he not have to report into cops?
And how was he supposedly still carrying on with these young kids?
He's living.
Well, you know, exactly.
Yeah,
he has a, you know, he has a so-called sort of, you know, day release thing where he's out of jail. You know, he doesn't have to do anything except sleep there.
I know.
And then he's abusing girls in the daytime. I mean, it's absolutely stunning what happened. And then you look at something like, you know, the death of Eric Garner, or whatever, and you know, nothing happens to the cop, and you just sort of think, well, what is justice? Is only for the rich. You know, it's terribly worrying and unsettling.
Well, Tina, we're always happy to have you here on Good Day. Can we get tickets to this festival?
Absolutely. Okay. The tickets, perhaps you let your viewers know where you can get them. I also want to say that if you are really hot and humid this weekend, what better way
to cool
come
off
into the
sit in a theater.
51 Fest and sit in the theater, watch great movies about women, and then have a fantastic conversation afterwards and come out cool, nourished, and refreshed by content.
In every sense.
Every way.
Sold.
Yes.
Sold.
Okay, the information is at 51fest.org. That's where you can find out about tickets, because it is happening at the IFC Center. We always appreciate it.
Thursday through Sunday.
Thursday through Sunday. Thank you.
Chill out, come.